Hi, folks. You're with Tass today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for joining this radio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about um, the price rises we've seen, over the last year, I guess, with the feeding into energy, petroleum for driving in your car, electricity, gas, natural gas, and of course food prices. Now, none of these price rises we've seen are natural or due to market forces or organic or anything like that. No supply and demand. Every one of these price rises is being forced, imposed upon us by the globalist cabal, and we need to fully appreciate that. Now, we're not a huge sort of energy intensive family, and we don't eat vast amounts of, I don't know, caviar or something, but we I guess the extra cost of living, across the board, the food, the energy, and the running the car, that sort of stuff, has our expenses increased by about $100 a week. Um, Now, we've got enough sort of elasticity in the budget where we can afford that. So it's hardly the end of the world for us. People on a really tight budget would suffer, I would think, with this. And testament to that is the amount of people that are having their electricity cut off and the like. So what can you do to fight back against this, other than lobby your politicians and say, "You useless motherfuckers! Why do you roll over and give in to these globalist robber barons? You represent the people. You represent us, not them." But that's no longer the case, because every Western politician, or pretty much every Western politician, now derives the majority of their income from things like share transactions, real estate speculation, and so on. And so their salary as a politician will make up less than half of their income in most instances. So their bosses now are not the people or the taxpayers. Their bosses are the globalists, and we see that with pretty much every decision they make. The global warming thing an example. We're forced to pay ever higher rates ever higher rates for things like electricity and petroleum and so on, when in reality none of these things are justified in the real world. And when the technology comes along, which one day it will, where energy can be stored cheaply and easily from the sun, that then great, let's convert at that time to this so-called green energy. But until then, let's have reliable energy that does the job and keeps people employed and allows affordable energy into the household. So, but let's have a look at these price rises and how we can fight back. Now, again, as I mentioned a moment ago, sort of our budget's gone up by about $100 a week. So I sat down and said, well, is it possible to fight back against that? Is it like what can I do? What can we do as a family to say, well, let's see if we can change our behaviour in order to stop or come back to, if you like, not have to spend that extra $100 a week. So I said about it. There's a few things we did. Now, I've mentioned some of this actually in a video a while ago, but one is just drive around less, sort of drive around at different times. If there are certain times of the day when it's busy traffic and you've got to, you're constantly in stop-start traffic, you use a lot of petrol there. Like the, I'm getting sort of 20 kilometers to the gallon, on stop-start traffic. Whereas if I get out on the highway or I'm driving at other times, then it's I'm getting almost double that amount of mileage. So there's some considerations there, changing the time of driving. Now, it's always possible. It's not always possible, rather, if you start work at a certain time and finish at a certain time, then kind of you're locked in there. But in other discretionary stuff, what I also did was I got a push bike. So it was only a cheap one. I threw a little bit of money at it to spec it up, but so I can ride daily to the shops, and don't have to use the car for that. So that's not a huge saving, but just on that alone is something like $15 a week, between $15 and $20 a week just on petrol. So that's a consideration there for people that might like that, but or think that's workable. Also, you've got the fitness angle, of course, as well. Now, other times I've been watching the grocery stores and the supermarkets at the times that they do their markdowns. So this is like particularly perishable stuff where they typically do their markdowns at certain times and on certain days, and they sometimes change those days. But the bottom line is, I've pretty much got it sussed now, so I can say things like meat, which is a perishable. I can usually buy that for 30 to 40% off. Other things like cream and yogurt, that sort of stuff, I can get. Um, so really, I can by watching the markdowns, even milk for that matter. By watching the markdowns, I can reduce, significantly reduce the price of the food, weekly grocery bill. Now the other thing is, we specced up to another fridge, which we're doing anyway. So it's got a bigger freezer capacity. So I can, if I see something that's marked down, I can buy, say, a few weeks worth of meat or other stuff, and put it in the freezer. And I've got the cash and the storage capacity to do that. Not everyone's got that, but that's an option as well. The other thing is looking at the weekly specials. Now, this is in the grocery stores or elsewhere for that matter, but particularly the grocery store, and say, okay, well, I'm going to run out of I don't know, olive oil, for example, in 3 weeks, and if I buy it now, I can buy it for half the price. Now, I don't need it now, the olive oil, but it's on for example, a half price special. So I'll buy it now because I know I will need it in a few weeks. So by looking at what I'm going to need, how much do I have of this, or I can switch from eating this to eating that, or I can do things like that. Then I can change the pattern of my consumption or the timing of it. And again, I've got a storage thing there. And so, for example, there was a super hot price on rice, and I was able to get 12 months of rice. 12 months of rice, and we eat quite a lot of rice. 12 months of rice for $15, that sort of thing. So by doing that and planning that, it does take some planning. So, and you can't sort of be in an impulse buying situation. You say, no, I won't buy that now because I'll. And so even things like some of there was a really good a brand of coffee beans came on, and we like fresh coffee and freshly ground beans and that sort of thing. So there's a really good brand of coffee beans that came on, and it's like $50 for a container, and we reduced it to $20. And so I bought $100 worth of coffee beans. Again, not everyone can do that, but that's like for us, that's close to 6 months worth of coffee beans there. So we again, so by doing all those sorts of things, we can reduce pretty much back to zero. We can bring, just by doing that sort of shopping in that way, we can bring the cost of groceries about back to where it was. Now, given that things, the staples that well, we don't often see them on markdown, like bread and milk, or you wouldn't want to buy stale bread anyway. But even with those sorts of things having gone up in price by between 30 and 40%, by doing that buying that I mentioned, doing that, we can bring the cost back so that, so for example, just using 100 as a round number, if we've gone from 100 to say $140 a week on groceries, we can bring it back to 100, about 100. So really we're not we're not paying any more, but it does take planning, and it does take riding around on the push bike, things like that. So it does take a bit of extra effort and time. Now, not everyone's got that time. Say you're working 9 till 5, those sorts of things. You get back, you're tired. You don't have to go running around on a bike. So there are other factors there. But because I'm sort of self-employed, I can do that and do have that option. So that's the grocery side of it, and the driving side of it. We're probably still paying more for transport because the price of petroleum's gone up by the amount it has, but we're containing that to manageable limits. I would say we're spending an extra $20 to $25 a week, give or take, on petrol. Now, on the electricity side of it, we've sort of tried to have a look at how we can change. Weren't intensive electricity users to begin with, so there's not really the bandwidth there. Now, we stopped using the air conditioner, and we've been much more careful, say, putting shades out in front of the windows, and um, opening doors, having, trying to use the natural breezes, and trying to coordinate. If there's a bit of a breeze, okay, let's open these windows and those doors. Again, takes a bit of planning, and we were doing it. I mean, it sounds all a bit anal, really, but we were doing it on the basis of, well, can it be done? Can it actually be done? By changing our behaviour, can we actually negate all the price rises that are being imposed on us? And I guess as a sort of background in my mind is that I don't like being screwed, and the globalists are clearly screwing us, accruing vast profits to them and their buddies, but screwing us, the citizen, in the process. And because they control the media and our politicians, they're getting away with it. So can we avoid being screwed? And I don't like being screwed. So this was part of the can we avoid the being screwed issue? So that now the other thing is we go out, and we might. If I go for a business appointment somewhere, maybe I get there a bit early, and I think, I might have a cup of coffee at the local cafe, or a coffee and I don't know, a muffin or something like that. And but now I sort of take the view, no, I won't. I'll just go without, because those casual extra costs of just getting around, they add up fairly quickly. Now, again, I wasn't spending a lot, or we go out once a week for dinner, not to an expensive restaurant, but and so it's okay. Well, instead of going once a week, we'll go out once a fortnight. I'll give up on the coffee, unless maybe I'm sitting down with a client or a customer, then I might still do it. But otherwise cutting that out. So now on the electricity side of it, cut out the air conditioning. Still using some fans every now and again, but not intensively. But we looked at doing things like bulk cooking on the weekend. Now, the sort of electricity plan we've got, which I assume varies person to person, and there's a whole variety of plans to pick from, is the electricity was half price between 10 at night and I think 5 in the morning. Well, it might have been 11 at night, but during the night, and half price on the weekend. And so we do things like clothes washing either at night, the washing machine or the dishwasher, any of those sorts of appliances, we use it at night, and or on the weekend, and also doing bulk cooking. So if we're having, I don't know, beef or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. We'll cook it on bulk on the weekend, with the rice or with the pasta or with the potatoes or whatever it might be, and cook all that, and then we can put it in the fridge or the freezer, and then we can heat it up. Now, I've sort of timed the cooking and timed the heating up. So if we're cooking in bulk and then you do the heating up, rather than cook fresh every night, I would prefer to cook fresh every night, by the way. But again, could we bring the electricity bill down? And the bill was slightly bigger than the one before, not enough, like within a 1 or 2% range. So clearly that works, provided we stay disciplined, and staying disciplined is the key. And I guess if you're a family with, I don't know, a million kids and they're all playing sports, you just couldn't leave it till the weekend. The cost in additional clothes, to have enough clothes in the pipeline where you could do bulk washing on the weekend just wouldn't be practical. So I think again it suits certain families and circumstances, but in the end we particularly dropping out, going out to dinner once a week, and now it's once a fortnight. Dropping out, we actually ended up saving a few bucks, not by much, but but the additional cost, the $100 a week, for example, so 430 a month or something like that. That that was um, more than compensated for by the change in behavior. But on the other hand, I say, well, the amount of discipline that it takes to do what we're doing and the energy it takes to have such discipline and maintain it, it comes natural after a while. But certainly in initial stages, you think to yourself, what benefit am I getting out of this? I'm busting my ass and stressing out. Why don't I just do what I want when I want, whenever I want, how I want, and have that casual, relaxed, manana lifestyle, and who gives a fuck about the extra cost? That there was that consideration, because it does go through your mind, but through that discipline, as I say, we ended up actually spending less money overall in the end, but at a price of being that disciplined. You've been Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for listening.